what you do, guys.
Woo!
Welcome, ladies. I would introduce you, but everyone knows who you are. You're the whole reason they're here, right? Welcome to Days of the Dead. It's so great to have you both here. I hope it's been wonderful for you so far.
Yeah, it's been great to be here and meet all you guys.
Amazing.
It's a good group.
So I would love to kick this off by asking you guys, because I haven't spoken to you all yet, about your acting journey. How did you get involved in your craft?
You go. I knew I wanted to be an actor from a really early age, so I started by doing a lot of local theater in Sacramento, which is where I grew up, and I ended up moving to LA by myself at 16, and had a really shoddy apartment in downtown LA, and continued to audition and just sort of built my career that way, but I've been in LA ever since.
I did not have a similar trajectory in the sense that I always knew I wanted to do it. I actually played soccer very competitively. I had a full ride to play in college and a top 20 Division I program. That was like what my life was geared towards. And then in a very kind of random chance, I had met somebody who was one of the heads of an agency in New York, and they got me into acting, and I started trying it out, and I realized quite quickly how much I loved it, and that the opportunity I had was quite unique. So I ended up decommitting from the school I was going to and moving to New York at 17, and that's where we overlap, living in a shoddy apartment, and been there ever
Opposite
since.
coast. Yeah, same situation. Wow. Sorry about that, guys. Tell me how Halloween came into your life.
An audition.
Yes.
A self-tape that you just send off into the black abyss of self-tape land, and then you just wonder if anyone's looking at them or seeing them. And then it was like probably 3-4 weeks later, I got a call that David wanted to meet me, David Gordon Green, our director, and we set up a Zoom, and or I think it was before COVID, it was super before COVID, so Zoom didn't exist. What was it? Like Skype? Skype. We Skyped, and then I did a screen test, and then we decided to make the movie. We decided to pick me, Don't Know Why.
I auditioned, I think because I was in LA, it was in person, and with David and our casting director, and I wasn't even trying to, I just accidentally kept making him laugh a lot, and he thought it was funny, and I got the call a few weeks later that Andi had been cast, and that they were wondering if I'd come on and be Vicky and be the funny friend, which I did, and it was so much fun, and being able to work with David was just amazing, and I love how much he kind of encouraged everybody to lean into the funny when they could, and yeah, it's like the coolest franchise ever to be able to be a part of.
So you guys, obviously this is a horror con. You are part of a major horror film and a major horror franchise, right? Are you guys horror fans yourselves?
I am now, because honestly, I watched Don't Look Under the Bed. Did you ever see that? The Disney Channel original movie from like the early aughts? Terrifying. After that, no more horror movies for me. I did not sleep for weeks. And then I slowly got back into it once I was cast in Halloween, and I was introduced to the community and just the excitement, and what I realized was that it's a genre that has just countless subgenres within it, and you can kind of find your thing and find your way through it in a way that's really unique to the genre, and also the community is just so spectacular, and the fandom is so special, and I always say that like the world I think could use more of the mentality of horror fans, where like even people with differences of opinions or ideas, like they'll be vocal about them, but they do it with respect and appreciation, and there's always kind of an open platform. So I felt very deeply in love with the community and with the franchise, or with the genre after I had been introduced to it.
That was so well said. Kind of similarly, I wasn't really a big horror person until being involved in this franchise, and after meeting so many of the horror fans and having so much love for you guys and realizing what an incredible fan base it is, I myself really got into horror films, and now it's like my favorite genre of movie. I go see all of them in theaters. It's so much fun to watch horror movies movies with a real audience in a theater. And yeah, there's so many amazing subgenres within horror, and I just love seeing things I've never seen before and being really surprised in a movie, and I feel like horror just does that better than any other genre. And yeah, there's so many really amazing filmmakers that come out of this space, and actors and so much creativity. So yeah, it's probably like my favorite genre of film now is horror.
What's your guys' favorite subgenre of horror? Because that is very, like you said, unique to everyone.
I love a body horror personally. I think those are always really fun.
Do you have a favorite body horror movie?
Oof. I mean, I just watched The Substance, so it's fresh on my mind.
I hear that's fantastic. Haven't seen it yet.
Really fantastic.
Is it fantastic?
Yeah, I loved it, yeah.
I don't know, I think it kind of depends on the day. I think like kind of cosmic horror, like the Lovecraftian kind of sense is very cool, but I'm very into body horror as well. It's something that I think we're gonna see more and more on the rise in the next few years, and A Different Man being one that kind of is a little genre bendy. I also really love genre bendy horrors. Like if you give me a good horror comedy,
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys individually about something else that you've done that's not Halloween before I turn it out to the audience, okay? So, you were a part of kind of a show I love, very horror adjacent, 666 Park Avenue. I will say that I purchased that on iTunes when it was airing, like when it came out. That's how much I loved it. So it's still in my iTunes library. I mean, you couldn't beat that cast, and you had 2 episodes of that. Can you speak on your experiences working on that show?
that was my first acting job ever, was that. I never acted professionally until I got that show, and it was top to bottom like the dream experience. Everybody, I remember being so nervous and panicked and having no idea even how a set operates or how you shoot anything, and just not understanding the structure. We did block shooting, which for me I was like, what is happening here? And I was very upfront with the director that it was my first time, and he can also probably tell I probably didn't need to be as explicitly upfront. But he was so kind and really took me under his wing and kind of taught me how this was going to go. And I remember at the end of the day, he was like, just so everybody knows, this is Matichak's first day ever on a set, and we just like want to give her a hand. And they gave me a round of applause and just like made me feel very welcome. And everyone of the cast was so wonderful, and heavyweights, you know, they've been working for quite some time, and they all went out of their way to make me feel comfortable and just show me what the experience was in a real way. That it held a really special place in my heart. I think I had one line. It was like, Shannon.
That was your name.
I was like, Shannon. How many ways can you say Shannon?
Yeah, how many ways can you introduce yourself, right?
But it was a fantastic show.
Tell me now I die.
That's a deep cut.
That was a COVID watch for me.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I had a work from home job, so I got to just play the Tubi all day long while I'm on the computer doing my work from home job. And that was one that was fed to me based on what I might like, and I loved it.
Really?
Yes, so can we talk about that?
Absolutely. That was probably my first horror film that I was a part of. You're one of 5 people, I think, that's seen that movie, so thanks.
I was going to come to your table and say, do you have to tell me how I died first?
A real deep cut for me, but it was so much fun. Yeah, it was a really fun premise that I'm kind of forgetting, but I think we all were a part of some drug experiment that allowed us to get visions into how we died, a little Final Destination-y, which was one of my favorite horror franchises. I love the Final Destination movies. And yeah, it was a really great cast. We had a lot of fun making it. It was like almost all night shoots, which are so brutal.
It was twisty. Like, you're like,
very
Nuh-uh.
twisty. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, we had a lot of fun making it, and it's always fun. Your first horror movie, I feel like you sort of start to learn the rules of horror and how to play with the audience, and working with some of the blood and the gore stuff is really fun, and I love the special effects side of things too. So that was all really fun to experiment with on Tell Me How I Die.
Yeah. All right, audience questions. Who's got them? I know you do. There you go. the question was, did you get to work around or work with Danny McBride or Carpenter?
McBride was there a lot during 2018, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember meeting McBride on 2018.
Yeah. But he was really low-key dude. He would just be kind of behind monitor, like wearing his ball cap. Like you'd occasionally hear that iconic laugh of his. But you know, I more so spent time with him, I think, doing press for the film. And then Carpenter, I had never actually met. The days he was on set were either days that I wasn't on set or days where I was physically shooting and he was watching, and we just never really crossed paths. And then at the Halloween Ends premiere, he couldn't go, but he had sent his partner Sandy, and he like wrote me a lovely note just saying like, it's great to meet you, and you've done an incredible thing with being a part of this, and I'm so grateful that you were on board. It was this really beautiful note, and so I haven't actually physically met him, but I do remember that I screenshotted when he followed me on Twitter back in like 2021.
Funny enough, I met Carpenter on set, and I was there for only a few days, which is so funny that I actually did meet him on set. But it was when we were shooting my death sequence, so that was, you know, one of the days he wouldn't have been there. But it's so funny, that was actually one of the days I met him. And then David Gordon Green called me to guest star on Righteous Gemstones, his TV show with McBride, and so I actually got to hang out with McBride quite a bit more when I did an episode of Gemstones, which was so much fun. Like, he's so funny and exactly kind of who you would want him to be, and such a chill dude. And yeah, I had nothing but great memories about working with McBride and briefly meeting Carpenter. So funny that you never met him in person and I don't.
How honored were you girls to be part of one of the best franchises in the horror genre, and what was it like working with the legendary Jamie Lee Curtis?
Hi. You think you'd get better at talking about it, right? Like after all these years, but it's still impossible to articulate what it means, because like you said, it's one thing to be involved in iconic franchise, it's another to be involved in this iconic franchise with Jamie Lee Curtis, who is this franchise. And she was nothing but perfection. I mean, the way that she gives herself to everybody on set and makes herself available and is generous and kind and open, and her energy dictates the set, and she knows that, and she walks around with that responsibility, and is nothing but kind of mama hen to everybody around. So it's incredibly special, and I still am tongue-tied when I have to think about how to express it.
And your birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. Jamie's birthday.
Jamie's, not mine.
Yeah, it's such an honor to be a part of this franchise and to be able to say I got murdered by Michael Myers. I never got to share a scene with Jamie, but I got to meet her on set. And going back to Twitter, you know, she did some rewatch where she was commenting on scenes on Twitter, and she shouted me out and shouted out my death scene, and I have it screenshotted and saved forever because it meant so much. Yeah, she's an icon. She's, you know, the ultimate scream queen. So it's really cool to be able to say, you know, I shared a screen with her.
Wow.
Who else? I know you got him. Right there, my friend.
So being, I mean, the iconic franchise that it is, and Michael Myers is, you know, just one of those that'll naturally kind of put fear in you. What was it like? Was there personal fear just being on set with him from, you know, old movies, or just like when you were a kid and it was Myers, or did any of that ever come into play as far as really feeling intimidated and fear of him?
I remember I had some of that, and to this day, when I open a closet door, sometimes I'm a little and just because that's like such a fear of mine, is like opening a door and having someone being right there anyway. And then, you know, James, who plays him, is so big and the nicest guy, but like so physically big, and when he has the mask on and you can't really see his eyes, and it's just very like unnerving. And yeah, having to open the door and then get like stabbed at so many times over and over again created a weird muscle memory for me, where like to this day when I open my closet I'm a little bit spooked.
Traumatized.
Yeah.
Very fair. The thing that I think works so well with Michael and with the mask is just, it is so blank that you can kind of everybody in this room can project something else onto him that scares them the most. So I think that's why he can kind of transcend and be so universal in a way that's kind of maybe not with others. And James, one of the things that I think also made the role transcend a little bit more in our trilogy, if I may say, is his ability. He took it so seriously and really took his time and did a lot of prep and work. And you know, he would put the mask on. Do you remember this? And he would just like stand off in between takes, like in the shadows over there, and you just kind of like forget, and then you'd be like, "Oh, James, take off your mask." So those were probably the scariest moments on set, were when you were finally cut and not paying attention, and then James G. Courtney is just hulking in the back. It's great.
And right behind.
Yeah, well, firstly, I wanted to say, Virginia, your scene is like new school iconic.
Huge.
Honestly, it is awesome, very memorable. But I'm from Wilmington, and Kills filmed there. I got to do background for it, which was awesome. But I know you guys filmed in South Carolina too. How did you feel in these smaller towns filming? Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy the town? Were the people nice?
I loved it. I mean, you got Charleston. We were so mad that David had to kill you all. We were like, why did you do this? Why did you cast such wonderful people that we just want to spend all of our time with? And thank God that Drew, the kid that played Oscar, is actually from Wilmington. So we got to see him quite a bit when we were there, and luckily we had Dylan for that. But the towns were fantastic. I mean, Charleston was so fun, and I'd never been. Have you?
It was my first time in Charleston, but that's where we did Gemstones as well, so I ended up spending some time there. And yeah, great food, great hospitality, beautiful city. I totally fell in love with Charleston.
Yeah, and Wilmington to me was controversial. It may have been my favorite. It's just such a lovely town, and the people were so kind and so open and so game, and it was a good energy. Savannah was awesome. It's kind of like Charleston meets New Orleans in one, and spooky and cool, and I loved it.
Thanks.
I want to attend LA Film School. I know you guys auditioned at a young age. What do you recommend for me to do?
To prepare?
Yeah.
Question was, what do you guys recommend for a young actor to do to prepare to audition for LA Film School?
I met him earlier, so I believe it's directing, correct? Yeah.
Well, all of them.
For filmmaking. I'm honestly not versed in the path for a filmmaker, or for directing, but I would say just like you did. I mean, you made your first movie. It sounds like it went awesome, and you have that now, and just keep making your own work and kind of staying true to what your vision is and settling into it and not really trying to be something other than you. One of the things Jamie had said to me that is still the best piece of advice I've ever received is just be where your feet are. Like, don't try to be anything else. Don't reach and try to adjust yourself to accommodate other people. Just kind of be settled. And especially as a filmmaker, when you're the one with the vision, just settle into that and trust that and do what you want. And it'll be palpable when you make those submissions and keep working.
I think that's really great advice, what Andi just said, and I would echo the same sentiment of like, you've made your first film, you're making your second soon, right? You know, continue to go, and I know you have it on YouTube so people can find your work and see your work and sort of begin to grow your audience, and you're never too young to start doing those things. I mean, I moved to LA at 16 without a plan B, dropped out of high school, like I had to make this work or I had nothing to fall back on. And in some ways for me, I think that was a blessing, because if I had had a strong plan B, I would have quit so many times, but because I didn't have the option to quit, I had to keep going. And I just think it's always important to remember that it's a long path and it's a hard path, but you know, stay where you are, you're passionate, you're a talented filmmaker, and just, you know, don't forget that.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
He was shocked when you ladies said that 16 and 17 that you started. He's like, I'm 15.
Yeah.
So that's
Next
why.
year, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, Dad, he's moving to a coast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just wondering if there was like any funny moments on set that we could talk about?
Man, funny moments on set.
I think one of the best
We'll take
days.
them both.
Yeah, one of the best days I went to on set is when you and Julian were doing the scene where you were watching TV, and the two of you were just like going at each other, and that was, we were all dying behind monitor. I would say that was probably a standout.
Yeah, Julian was so funny, and as I'm sure most of you know, that was mostly improv, and David just kind of gave him the direction to like insult me, and he just like roasted my entire life, where I left being like, oh my god, I think I'm broken. This kid saw right through me, all my insecurities. But he was hilarious. It was just such a funny string of improv, and yeah, he was like amazing. The clipping my nasty ass toenails line, he just came up with that, and it was iconic and hilarious.
Hi, my question's for Andy about Halloween Ends, because obviously that film's subject to some debate in the fandom. But my question for you is that when you received the script for that movie, what's it like as an actor to get a script that goes in a completely different direction than what you would have expected for, the third installment of a film that you're doing?
Well, we were kind of prepared for it a little bit. It wasn't totally out. Like, for me, Judy dying, not Judy Greer, Karen dying, was more out of the blue. I mean, obviously there are casualties. It's a horror film with Michael Myers. People will die. But I didn't, like, that was more like, oh wow, I did not, like, I thought we made it out safe in this one, and then that happened, and I really didn't see it coming when I read it. This was something that had been kind of softly floated, pitched for a while. I want to say even when we were filming Halloween Kills, there was some like talk of like there's going to be a new character, there's going to be a love interest, there's going to be this, and so I didn't really know what to expect reading it, so I wasn't wildly shocked by the direction. For me, I mean, I really feel like it's just David Gordon Green personified in a movie in such a beautiful way. I absolutely love Halloween Ends. Don't yell at me. We can all have our opinions. And I can understand why, why people had a tough time with it. It's the final one of our trilogy, and I completely understand. But I will say it's a stamp that we haven't seen before. It's a standalone movie out of all of them, including all of the ones that have come before us, that is unique and different. And I do think it's going to age really well. And Rowan Campbell had such a hard role to come in to this iconic franchise, to the third installment, and have to do what he did. And he, took it on the chin and did nothing but incredible things with the role, and afterwards being such a champion for the film and being so engaging with the fans. And it's a film that I personally love, and filming it was so special because it was like senior year as well. So it was, a lot of fun, and I think it's gonna be a movie that ages really well. And I think that people need some time and space. I can understand, but in like 5-10 years, people are gonna be amped when they get to look back and be like, wow, I get to live my Michael Myers fantasy through this kid Corey. Like I get to enter into this in this other vantage point, which is very cool.
I'd also add to that, don't yell at me either. It was my favorite of the trilogy.
Same.
Yeah, I really loved Ends. I thought it was like, I loved the love story. It felt like an indie romance movie, like thrown into the middle of this horror franchise. I thought Roman was fucking incredible. I thought it was a really beautiful end of the franchise. I loved it.
So what projects are you guys working on now? Or in the future, I suppose?
I just got off a movie and I was in Brisbane for 6 weeks. We got home on Sunday, so I'm still jet lagged. Wow. But that was really fun. It's a horror film, kind of like a Jaws, like a creature feature. And then there was a movie called The Breed that came out like 20 years ago. It was a Wes Craven movie. And we did basically like a spiritual sequel to that 20 years later, earlier this year. So that one was crazy fun. It'll be out next year. And then I've got a movie called Fuck, Marry, Kill that comes out in like 2 weeks. That's a horror movie, so that one's really fun.
What was your favorite kill throughout the entire franchise?
Favorite kill in the franchise?
In the first one, it's yours. It's so well executed. It's just so well executed. It's you and Drew in the first one, you and Oscar are, I mean, it's so good. But I feel like there's such a Carpenter-esque element to the sequencing that you guys did and you guys achieved that was really spectacular. In the second one, I would say there was a lot to choose from in that. He did some work. In the second one, I think the one that sticks with me the most is Sandra's husband. It was just so unsettling, and it just took way too long. And that's the one that I still can see and feel right here. And the third, I don't know. I was living in a weird love story in the third. I'm not sure what I was doing.
I liked the one, and I don't remember who it was. I just remember the image that I really liked. I think it was from 3, like the tongue on the record player.
Oh, yeah, the DJ.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun. I liked that one.
Dylan's was insane.
Yeah.
Cameron, the cheese grater with the
Oh.
Jesus. Whoa. Yeah.
I never looked at a cheese grater the same way again.
Yeah. David was like, grate the cheese, grate the cheese. Yeah. So those are the moments that we're laughing on set because behind monitor it's ridiculous the notes that are being thrown out there.
So Virginia, you said that your scene with Julian and his character was a lot of improv, but you guys seem to get along so well. Did you get a chance with him kind of offset before that scene? And just for shits and gigs, can you just Kazam for me?
Alakazam, is that what you wanted? He was so sweet. Yeah, we didn't get to hang out too much before we shot that scene because he was so young. He has to be in school, and then they kind of bring him to set, and he goes back to school, so the hours look a little different for someone that young on set. But he was just so sweet. But that's why it was so shocking because it was so sweet. He was all smiles and lovely, and then he just roasts the shit out of me for an hour on set, in the best way, in a loving way. But yeah, he's just such a sweet kid. I love that guy.
Anyone over here? Yeah.
Something would come about in the future, because we all know it. Would you consider the carrying on the road heroin role?
It all depends on the story, the filmmakers, and everything. But there's no reason to not remain open to it. This is such an incredible piece of history, and to get to be a part of it's incredible. So if there's a path forward, all ears.
The back, yeah.
I got a question. So for the 3 movies, 2018, Tails and Heads, which one was your favorite mask?
Ooh, favorite mask.
I think it was the flashback in Kills. It was insane. And in person, it was giving everybody chills, including Jamie, who had seen in 1978. She was just like, this is... Christopher Nelson is a freak genius.
What was it like working with Jamie Lee Curtis?
She's spectacular. I mean, in every sense of it. She's exactly who you'd want her to be and is very kind and open, and she just raises everybody up. And she also expects you to meet her level of work ethic, and she works harder than anybody on set. So she really sets the tone, and I've learned so much from her as a person, as an actor, as a businesswoman, as a human. She's really, really wonderful.
You guys have, I'm sure, seen the previous Halloween movies, yes? Right? You have gone back. What's your favorite of the ones before the ones you were in?
Excluding the original?
No? Any and all. Yeah?
OG.
Yeah?
It's a great film.
Everybody says it.
Okay, now exclude the original.
Now it's the original. Including part 3, if you want. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, all of them.
Have you seen them all?
I haven't seen all of them. I haven't, but I've seen a good amount.
We need a watch party.
Yeah, we need a watch party. I think that where I would go after that, 2 is it's Carpenter, so it just it's still in the vein and with Jamie. I really like Season of the Witch. Again, now you can understand why I like Ends.
Right.
It's something off the cuff and different and interesting in a way
definitely. What about you?
I mean, to be completely honest, I've seen the first and then the last three, so my knowledge is a little limited when it comes to the stuff in the middle there. But so yeah, the first is just, I think, a beautiful film. And then I really like Ends. That was pretty good.
All right, anyone else? Oh, yeah.
Okay, since you went in, what was your favorite out of all of the whole franchise that you wish you were in?
You got him. Stumped him.
Stumped it. Okay, sorry.
Deep thoughts.
Summer, what was the question?
Favorite scene that you weren't in, that you wish you'd been in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
In the whole franchise.
In the whole
Right?
franchise.
Yeah. Sorry, you said that way better than I did.
I mean, you know, Vicky died so early on, so like any other scene would be cool for Vicky, I'd take it. But I think, you know, going back to Ends, in what you were saying, Andy, about being able to really imagine yourself as Michael Myers through the character of Kukori, is that the character name? I mean, I think that was just like a great role to be in as an actor, and I think what he got to play with in Ends was so much fun for an actor. What Rowan was able to do, that would be a blast.
A fun fact, Ginny, you were with me in Halloween Ends. Allison did a real weird thing, and she stole your pants after you died.
My dead body.
Of your dead body, the pants you died in. And I wore them in one of the scenes, I think it was the scene with Kyle and Jamie at the beginning of the movie, where we're just like talking about something as she's carving a pumpkin in the kitchen. I was wearing your jeans.
So cute. You weirdo.
Little weird.
Wild thing to do, but cute.
You heal in certain ways, and everybody processes grief differently.
Just wanted something to hold on to.
Yes.
My question is, if there was another legacy horror franchise that you could be cast in, what franchise would it be?
I want to be in Saw. Yes! I love the Saw movies. I want to have a really crazy, fucked up death in Saw. For myself.
What would your trap look like?
Oh my god, that's a crazy. I don't think I could possibly come up with someone that would do the Saw franchise justice off the top of my head. But yeah, I would just love like a super creative, wild death in a Saw movie would be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of my favorite horror movies of all, but it's not really a franchise, is Jaws. And I know there have been so many remakes of, you know, different creature features and different things, that, especially with sharks in particular. But if I could plant myself in a movie, I think it'd be that one.
They did like 3 or 4, right? 4 Jaws, right? 4. There you go. So that's a franchise. They did 4. I'm just saying, so that it counts. I saw a question in the back. I thought maybe. Yes.
My last question. We were talking about the Mike Myers movies and stuff. Are you guys fans of the Rob Zombie movies, or?
Are you guys fans of the Rob Zombie Michael Myers movies? Halloween movies?
I'm not versed in them. So I love those girls though. They're so lovely. Scout and Danielle are beautiful human beings, and I loved meeting them. So fans of them. I haven't seen the films though.
Got it.
How do you feel about Kyle in the movie? Like how he got corrupted by Michael and started off with this guy who was in trouble past and turned into a crazy serial killer, and then Michael was doing things.
How do you feel about the storyline they took with that?
With like Kyle, how he started off as just a guy with a criminal history, then turned serial killer.
How do you feel about Kyle, the guy with his criminal history, then turned serial killer?
It's interesting because it's kind of like what I was saying with the mask. It's like everybody can project their own thing on it, and I think one of the things that works so well in the original is that there are very limited details you have about him, and you don't know much about him. So he's kind of this shark, right? That doesn't have, and that's something that David and Danny brought to it as well. Is they essentially just wanted to create this predator, just this like killing machine with no real motives or objectives other than murder, and they succeeded in that. So I think like the scariness for me also comes from somebody that just there's like a black void.
wouldn't be regular fitness, but would actually be towards acting to keep yourself as that rush hour more fluid? What would be your training regimen that isn't just keeping in shape, but actors need to do this?
Like physically?
Yes.
Physically, or like including like from an acting standpoint for the craft?
Yeah. Instead of just keeping healthy, you have to do this to keep acting.
We were just talking about this. For me, it was fill out my life in a way that was real, because acting is really challenging and the path is really windy, and you'll have moments of a lot of work and then moments of quiet. And in order to be happy in those moments of quiet, kind of finding a life for myself outside of it was something that was really important, and gave me longevity. But there's also the fact that, like, to keep tight as an actor, like working and working in classrooms and you know, having your groups and doing self-tapes and just working on material, reading scripts, all of that. What about you, Jen?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, that I think filling out the rest of your life is really important. I don't think you can be an actor if you're not having your own life experiences, and sometimes you wait around for the phone to ring far too long and don't live your own life enough, so I think that's really important. And yeah, keeping in class or find a coach and like keep training and keep watching movies. I know a lot of actors that like acting, but they're not really a student of it, and they don't keep up to date on filmmakers and movies that are coming out and writing they love. And I think it's so important to continue to watch what's being made and be inspired and really fall in love with the craft and why we do it, and to remind yourself why we do it.
Last question. When Michael came to Corey's house, and you stabbed him before they, put the trap in, there almost seemed to be a little bit of an empowerment when you had that knife and took it with you. So I was wondering if by chance you got to actually keep it, or any kind of memorabilia from the movie.
Yeah, because we were doing 3, they were really tight about keeping things from the first 2 because we might need it. But for the 3rd one, Chris Nelson actually gave me the cat mask that he made for me. And he signed it and sent it to me, and that was very cool.
Is there something you ladies wouldn't do in a movie? So for example, Terrifier 3 just came out. They alluded to children dying at the beginning, and they showed body parts and everything, and there's some people that, were slamming them for that. This is terrible. Is there, in terms of a horror movie, is there something that you wouldn't be in because of a certain action or certain premise, for the film? Or would you just roll with whatever the director wants?
Definitely not roll with whatever. I mean, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I don't roll with whatever. But there's a lot more that goes into decision makings than just like a thing on a page. I mean, look at Halloween Ends. David killed a kid pretty brutally in the first 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
In a pretty visual way. And
Get out it coming.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Who's a dancer?
But no, it's hard to. It's kind of a hard question to answer because there's a lot that goes into making decisions as a creative.
For me, I think so much of it would depend on the people involved, why they feel that scene is necessary, how does it, move the story forward. So there's so many questions beyond just like would you or wouldn't you. But I just did a movie called The Breed where we are killing rabid dogs, but they're rabid, they're evil dogs. I don't think I could ever kill like a sweet innocent puppy in something. I think that would break my heart.
Hi, someone over here. Yeah.
I'm Christian with Virginia. One of my favorite movies you ever did was called Fall. What were your strengths like?
Thank you. It's one of my favorite things I've done as well. It was really crazy. So on the movie, we're on a 2,000-foot tower, and we actually shot it on a 100-foot tower. So they built us a 100-foot tower on a cliffside. So it's not green screen; it's all real. What you see, all the wides and scopes and views was all real. So they had the camera on a crane, and they would put us in a cherry picker and bring us 100 feet up, and we'd be harnessed to the tower. And the craziest thing was we'd have to jump from the cherry picker to the tower, which was like 6 feet apart. So we'd literally be like jumping to get to our set 100 feet off the ground, and then we'd be up there all day. And we had a pulley system where they'd pulley us water, they'd pulley makeup up there for us, so we'd do each other's touch-ups on top of the tower. So it was just like a crazy experience, but I love stunt heavy work, I love the adrenaline rush, and it's really fun. Everything is CG nowadays, so it's really fun to be able to make something with all the practicality that we had in fall.
You were really up there.
So you were really up there.
Wow. Okay, didn't know that. Things I learned today. Yeah, I assumed it had to be CG.
No.
Right? No? Oh my.
It was wild. I never had a fear of heights before making that movie, but after being trapped so high up for so long, I now have like a little bit of a thing with heights.
How long did you guys film?
Sorry?
How many days was it?
Probably 20 days. In the middle of COVID.
It was
too.
during COVID, I remember.
Right in the middle of COVID, so.
That's too much social distancing.
It kind of worked because it was only 2 girls at the top of a tower outside. So it actually was like as COVID friendly of a movie as you could have made during that time. But it was before the vaccines, before we really knew like anything about COVID at all. It was like smack in the middle of it.
So kind of piggybacking off of COVID, what was that like between Halloween and Halloween Kills with the movie supposed to be coming out and then it had to kind of be waiting and put on hold? What was that like?
The thing that was great is we had the script already and Rowan was cast. So, I mean, Rowan and I became genuine friends, and I think that was palpable in the film as we were able to actually like connect as people and kind of work and just get to know each other and have the lag time of prepping for that long of a time. That's the beauty of having time to prep, but also the downfall of having time to prep. You can prep a thing to death a little bit. But David did a really wonderful job of kind of, also though David and Danny just changed the scripts constantly. You are getting new drafts all the time. I think Gemstones even said that there are like 60 drafts like for one episode is like their record. Yeah, they always kind of keep you on your toes, but it was kind of lovely, and also not for nothing, it's a huge part of my life, and I love this franchise so much, and I love working with these people so much, and getting to extend it for an extra year, I don't care. I get to hang out with everybody a little bit longer.
How'd you feel about Kills having to, this was the question I thought you were asking, but that it got pushed and then came out streaming at the same time as the theatrical release? Were you concerned about that? Or?
I was happy that we still had a theatrical release.
Yeah.
That was important. Is like having it be in theaters, like to what Virginia was saying, like being able to sit there as a community and watch a horror film, especially Kills. That out of all of them should be on the big screen. Like that should be experienced. I mean, it's a Michael Myers action movie. It should be seen in IMAX.
Okay, last one.
What was it like working with Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers?
Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney. We talked a little bit about James earlier, but we didn't talk about Nick.
Nick had a cameo in the third movie. He played a flasher at a Halloween party. That was my experience working with him. He's a blast.
Did you have any communication with Nick at all?
I didn't know, but obviously I got to work with James, who's so lovely and like so nice. He's, such a big dude and can be a bit intimidating looking, but then you talk to him for 5 minutes and he's just like the ultimate softie sweetheart. So he's just a pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, ladies, to wrap it up, I want to go back to our roots again and tell me, what advice would you give your younger selves when you were going into this business? What do you know now you wish you knew?
It's so hard because I think if I knew then what I know now, my career could have turned out differently, and I don't think I would want to change how things have gone. I just think, having really thick skin is really important and continues to be really important. And I guess going back to what we were saying earlier, like really building a life outside of just this and not letting your career become your identity, which I think with what we do is really easy to get confused. What is what? And really finding some like meaning outside of this. So yeah, I guess that's it.
I think the beauty of both of us starting so young is there is like a naivete to it where like we didn't really know what we were doing in a real sense, at least I didn't. And so it unfolded in this way where it's, you do things over, but also you wouldn't have what you have now. I think the piece of advice that I received late in my career that I wish I got earlier, it's the one I just gave you from Jamie Lee, which was just be where your feet are. Like, just be present in this moment and don't be thinking about what's coming next. Just be here, because we don't know. Like, we don't know what's going to happen in this industry, and if you are going to work again, and when you're going to work again, and in what capacity. So it's like, just be present, because the product is great, of course, but the how you make it and the process of making it is arguably more important to the person doing it. So.
Beautiful. Thank you, ladies, so much. Everyone.
Thanks.